A mutual fund means that having money, a lot of money probably saved in your bank account for emergencies.
It's a partnership between husband and wife or relatives. Share money.
That's a good question. Let's see.
Something that people pool money together.
What she said.
I think a mutual fund is probably a savings account of some sort.
A mutual fund is where two people, separate people, go in on a certain investment of stock of some sort.
Mutual funds. Mutual funds are where investors pool their money to invest. Portfolio managers manage the pool or the fund, and your return comes as the value of the fund is increased. What in the world did he just say? Let's try this. This is a mutual fund. I'm going to be the mutual fund manager. We're going to open a mutual fund. And you guys are going to invest in it. What's your first name, sir? Randy. Randy's going to put some money in. Your name, ma'am? Michelle is going to put some money in. Your name, ma'am? Diana's going to put some money in. David's going to put some money in. Dan is going to put some money in. Alicia's going to put some money in. Michelle's going to put some money in. Ryan is going to put a lot of money in. All right? So what has just happened here? This group of people has just mutually funded this. It is a mutual fund. This is hard, isn't it? That's all a mutual fund is. A group of people bought into something together. Usually something they couldn't do by themselves. Because I don't have $1 billion, but I could buy into a mutual fund that had $1 billion and get some of the advantages of playing with people that have $1 billion. And we'll talk about those. Now, what I do with this money as the manager of this mutual fund tells us what kind of mutual fund they bought. If I took this money and I were to buy something like maybe these bonds we talked about, maybe I bought bonds, then this would be a bond mutual fund, and we usually call it a bond fund. Have you ever heard of a bond fund? That's all it is. Instead of you taking $10,000 and buying one bond, if you put $10,000 in this, there'd be a gazillion different bonds in here. And you'd be spread out across a bunch of different bonds. You'd be diversified. You wouldn't have all your eggs where they could get hit with something. You're spread out across more bonds instead of owning just one by being in a bond fund with some other people. Now, if I bought stocks in companies that make things like Dove soap, like Country Crock butter, like Vaseline, like Q-tips, like Slim Fast, like Lipton tea, like Ben & Jerry's ice cream, all detergent, Brute aftershave, Dannon yogurt, Nescafe, Butterfinger, Alpo, Panasonic, or JVC, these are all companies that are not American companies. They're foreign companies. They're overseas companies. Now, a lot of those products are made stateside in factories right here in the U.S. Some of you may work for one of those companies right here in the U.S. But the company is, and certainly their products are consumed here. Those are household names I just named in America. But whether the product is consumed or made here is not what I'm talking about. The company is not an American company. They're an overseas company, which is not a bad thing. But if you were to buy stock, if I were to take the money out of this mutual fund that these people mutually funded, and I bought stock in companies that make things like that, I'd be buying stock in overseas companies. I'd be buying stock in companies internationally. I'd be buying stock in companies in foreign countries. And see, the name of the mutual fund starts to tell you what's in it. If it's a bond fund, what's in there? Bonds. And so if I'm buying stock from companies that are overseas or companies that are international, this would probably be called an international stock mutual fund. Starting to get it? This is how it works. If I take the money out of here and I were to take it out and I were to buy something, I were to buy companies maybe like General Electric, maybe like IBM, maybe like AT&T, maybe like Home Depot, maybe like Cracker Barrel, or maybe, I don't know, let's see, here's another one, Federal Express, or maybe Walmart, or maybe Microsoft. I could buy either one, right? Or maybe Kmart, or maybe not. And so I could buy stock in companies that some of 90 to 200 different companies, America's best and brightest companies, and maybe these stocks, remember it's a share of ownership when I buy stock in it. And instead of buying one company, these guys have bought into this together. They mutually funded it, and they bought a whole bunch of different companies, so they got that diversification. Their eggs are spread out. They're not in one basket. And if I buy stocks and I buy into a mutual fund where there are companies that are growing, we might call their stocks growth stocks, which would make this then a growth stock mutual fund. Oh, you're getting it. That's what a growth stock mutual fund is. It's a group of funds, a group of stocks in a mutually funded account. People mutually funded it in companies that are growing. And it goes up, and sometimes it goes down, depending on what the economy is doing and this group of companies do. But if I bet the whole thing on one company, I could lose it all, couldn't I? My eggs could crack up. So if I put $1,000 in one basket for my kids' college, it could crack up. Or if I put $1,000 in here, it's spread across a bunch of different baskets. So it creates diversification. So I like this, because remember, diversification lowers risk, because diversification means to spread around. In other words, what we're saying with money is this: money is a lot like manure. Left in one big pile, it stinks. Spread around, it grows things. That'll come to you later.
Hey guys, one of the most common questions I get from folks your age is, where and how do I open a mutual fund, and how much money do I need to start one? Well, let's start with the second part first. How much money do you need? A lot of mutual funds will open an account for as little as $250 or $500. And if you want to put money in every single month, you can open a mutual fund for $25 a month or $50 a month with some of them. So just check with your broker to do that. Now, where and how do you open a fund? A little more complicated. I'd recommend you get with a good mutual fund broker, one that has the heart of a teacher, one that will sit down and explain to you what you're doing till you understand it. Remember that rule of investing: don't put money in anything you don't understand. Now, once you've sat down with that broker, they will give you some options and some different funds, and you're looking for a mutual fund with a 5 to a 10-year track record or longer. So you understand it, you're sitting with a broker, it's going to take $250 or $500 on a lump sum basis, and you're looking for a long track record. That's what you do with mutual funds. Keep it simple, keep it steady.